Check out this billboard in Laramie, Wyoming. It's totally dunking on Colorado. Here we go.
The Laramie County Sheriff, Brian Kaak, is standing by his decision to cross state lines and pay $2,500 to put up this message on a billboard here in Denver. So if you take a look, it reads, "Work in Wyoming, where breaking the law is still illegal." And we know that it's still illegal and cops are funded. So it's National Police Week this week, and this billboard just went up yesterday, sending a very clear message. Let's give you a closer look. Sheriff Kaak says that they've been successfully recruiting in Denver for some time now, and this is all part of a marketing campaign. The sheriff's office posted the billboard on social media right there with a caption that reads, in part, quote, "National media reported the city of Denver decided to defund the police $8 million to fund immigrant shelters and restrict the ability for cops to enforce traffic laws." It is getting some mixed reaction online. Some are actually complaining about the sheriff using taxpayer money to put up this billboard. Others supporting the claims, and some say it's instigating conflict here in Denver. Now, Kaak says that he's heard from many frustrated Denver officers and deputies thus far, and Kaak's not shying away to say he's taking full advantage of it.
One of the things is you get to do your job here. So you get to enforce the laws here. We try to look where officers are not happy with the political environment, and we try to promote our culture here in Wyoming, where it's more of a conservative area. Like I said, the community supports law enforcement.
And the city is punching back tonight. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston responding in part stating, quote, "The Denver Police Department's budget was carefully crafted with safety leaders and Mayor Johnston to ensure that there would be no impact to the department's public services. To say that Denver is defunding the police is a willful mischaracterization of the budget reduction." So Sheriff Kaak does admit that most officers will be taking a pay cut to go to Laramie County, but he offsets that with the fact that there's no state income tax in Wyoming and the cost of living is a lot less than here in Denver. And it appears this marketing tactic may be actually working. The sheriff says already they've received 40 new applications. Mind you, this just went up yesterday. In studio, Talia Cunningham, Fox 31.
40 new applications. Man. People in Denver are pissed. Yeah, we defunded our police, but it was all safe. Now, how often do we talk about Laramie, Wyoming? Never. Do we even mention it? How often do we talk about Denver? We have been talking about Denver more and more and more. And it's because Denver has just become an absolute you-know-what show. It's become just insane. It's like Colorado is trying to outdo San Francisco, trying to outdo Portland, trying to outdo Seattle. They're trying to cram all of this progressive nonsense into just a very short time period. Oh yeah, Sanctuary City, you betcha. Drugs, no problem. As much as you want homelessness, you bet. Come on into Denver. Garbage everywhere, just a free-for-all. You betcha. Police no longer able to pull people over for those low-level stop deals, right? Expired tabs, that kind of thing. It's those small little things. It's those small little things that, lead to big things, right? Pull somebody over for a broken taillight. They got a gun in the back seat. You know what I mean? It's this getting rid of law and order through this ridiculousness. And what I'm talking about, if you haven't heard this most recent one, Denver drivers will no longer be pulled over for low-level offenses. In other words, we're basically just, unless it's really bad criminal activity, we're not gonna deal with it. So that's the difference you've got going on between a Denver and between a Laramie. It's wild. The billboard came from the Laramie County Sheriff's Office, and it says, "Work in Wyoming, where breaking the law is still illegal and cops are funded." Now, if we take a look at that statement, are there shenanigans in that statement? No. Because what they're saying, breaking the law is still illegal. In Denver, it's a free-for-all, right? It's a free-for-all. I hear that from folks in Denver all the time. Yeah, things have really gone sideways here. And it's because they're on this, progressive, this is so progressive. And it just absolutely goes sideways, right? Same stuff you got in Portland, same stuff you got in Seattle. Just all that same stuff that doesn't work. And Portland right now, today, they are having election for their district attorney in Multnomah County, Mike Schmidt. He's been put there by George Soros. He has done a terrible job for Portland and Multnomah County. I mean, he just awful as a, left-wing progressive district attorney. He was all the cat's meow in Portland. And then after 4 years, you're like, good Lord. I mean, he did damage to that city. Absolutely crazy. He was one of the main components that led to Portland's demise. So we'll see. We'll see if the elections in Portland, if the citizenship keeps going down that crazy train road of things are terrible here, but let's just go ahead and keep voting in the guys with blue, right? And keep voting blue. Let's just keep voting. Let's not vote any red guys in here because, blue is the color we always go for in Portland and Multnomah County. So it's just what we're going to keep on doing. But it was interesting. I think it was somebody else who worked in the district attorney's office that's running as a moderate Democrat, and they're ahead by like 20 points in the polls. We'll see if the residents of Portland are able to pull that one out and actually ascertain, you know what? Maybe we need a change. Maybe a change is due. So this billboard we're talking about is in direct response to Denver Mayor Mike Johnston's decision to enforce budget cuts for law enforcement. What a knucklehead. Even if the safety isn't truly impacted, it is the overall optics of what's going on. You're willing to defund? Okay. Laramie, Wyoming, we're not defunding. We're not defunding. You're not going to get paid as much in Laramie. But if you've got lower cost of living and if you've got, no state income tax, you can make those things offset, right? And just not having to deal with the nut jobs that you've got running around in Denver. I mean, just a bunch of people whacked out on drugs. Mayor Johnston, as well as Denver police, responded by saying that Denver police have better pay and they find the billboard completely ridiculous. Well, yeah, that's because you're in Denver. You're protecting your own. Is it really ridiculous? No, probably not. I mean, comparing Laramie to Denver, you're comparing apples to oranges. Yes, but the issue stays the same. Is a police officer, are they going to have better quality of life in Laramie? Yes, they are. They just are, right? And so less pay? Yeah, that's okay. Having a conversation with somebody in one of the live chats, I think it was, and we were talking about the $75,000 bonus that Alameda, the city next to Oakland down in California, is offering for their police officers. $75K bonus. And you're like, God, that's a lot of money. But then when you start to look at cost of living in the East Bay area, 75K, I think the person I was talking to, they're like, that's like 6 months of rent. That's like 6 months of rent. It's not that much money in an expensive area like East Bay. A new policy has been put in place that Denver police will no longer issue tickets for minor traffic infractions, such as expired tags and headlights and taillights that are not in working condition, because racism, right? So this has to do with that broken windows theory. You start cleaning up all the stuff, go after people with taillights out, go after everything. Yeah, things get cleaned up. This is the wrong direction to be going in. And this stems from defunding the police and going down these crazy train roads that aren't going to work. This is not going to work out for Denver. How many different cities do we have to see this kind of policy put in place? And then we sit back and go, well, yeah, shenanigans will ensue. And then shenanigans do ensue, kind of like Measure 110, which legalized drugs in Portland. This is the greatest thing ever. This is the greatest concept ever. This is the greatest legislation. Oh, we're so progressive, so progressive. Hey, let's take a quick trip to Portugal and see what's happening over in Portugal. Because, man, this Measure 110 is not working. We got homelessness just exploding. We've got murder just exploding. We've got overdoses absolutely exploding. We've got drug use exploding. Huh. Shocking. How did we get here? right? So Denver's going to go down the wrong policy road. Just see how that goes. A recent study analyzed the best and worst states to be a police officer. Colorado ranked as the 5th best state. Wyoming, on the other hand, ranked 24th. This was based on opportunity and competition, as well as job hazards and training. Many are calling the Billboard controversial due to the fact that Wyoming is calling out Denver and really Colorado in general. Well, yeah, they are. I mean, and rightfully so. I think what you're seeing is what happens when you've got a more conservative outlook on life in general, and then you've got a more progressive outlook on life in general, and leadership within both of those entities, where they're going, how they're dealing with things. Now, here's Denver. Denver can't get out of its own way to save itself. I mean, they would, so bad. And they are literally putting themselves in the box that they find themselves in, right? This massive virtue signaling of, we're a sanctuary city and, all come to us. Just come to Denver. And if you haven't been following that storyline, it's because it's the Tucson sector down in Arizona, about 600 miles due north of there is Denver. And so it's actually geographically fairly close to the southern border, where a lot of the crossings, the illegal crossings by the illegal immigrants, are happening now because Texas kind of shored up theirs. So, what you've got is a situation where Denver said, oh yeah, you guys can all come to our state, come to our city. We're a sanctuary city. And then, they had literally just encampment after encampment after encampment of illegals. And they basically told the illegals that, okay, if you have family members here, we're going to need you to go stay with them because we can't afford all of you. And if you don't have family members that you can just go stay with here, we're willing to go put you on a bus or a train or a plane to anywhere else. It was that whole virtue signaling thing. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. You know what? No, not so much. Denver also went from, you're going to be able to stay in these shelters forever to, okay, yeah, we're going to have to cut that down to 24 hours, maybe 72 hours if you're really a good boy with your family, with your kids. Just this ridiculous policy that was never going to work out in the beginning. And Chicago and New York City, they're all figuring it out now. And they're all going down the same roads of, yeah, that whole big open invitation. We're no longer doing that. Because Denver literally cut their police budget in order to pay for the illegals. So, if you're a tax-paying resident in city of Denver and your money is going to basically provide for the illegals to stay in your community, if you're okay with that, I mean, it's your city. You do whatever you want. But I'd be more inclined to, go down the whole, this billboard, this very conservative billboard, work in Wyoming, where breaking the law is still illegal. It's in big bold, right? It's just in big bold. And cops are funded, meaning they're not defunded. Oh, and Denver gets all worked up. Oh, that's not really what's going on. We consulted. It doesn't matter. Your optics are horrific. You defunded your police to spend money on the illegals because you're so virtue signaling. We want to help everybody. I don't have a problem helping people, but if you look at sheer numbers, the United States can't take care of everybody. You're going to have to work out some of your own stuff in your own country. You're just going to have to, because not all of the world can come to the United States because it's a good country to get going with your life and career and happiness and children and all that good stuff, depending on where you go, right? Within the United States. But even the worst of the worst in the US compared to like a Venezuela, yeah, probably better opportunity, right? Or Honduras or any one of these other countries that seem to send endless numbers of their residents, El Norte, to the United States. So you've got a situation where cops are going to go. They're going to go to where they're felt needed. And that is not in Denver. It's not in any of these big blue cities because they've put the ixnay on policing in general. They've defunded. They've gone down all those crazy roads. And this is what you get. And I think this billboard is absolutely hilarious. I think it's great because number one, it's wildly true. It's appropriate and it's well done. It's funny and cops are funded. It literally cuts right to the chase. Hey, breaking the law is still illegal and we'll take care of you. You're our guys and gals. You're our first responders. So it's that whole image of what are you prioritizing? What is a priority to you in your community? We're about to find out down in Portland, about to find out in Multnomah County, because they're voting on that literally as we speak, whether they're going to get another 4 years of George Soros-backed district attorney. That guy is probably the worst district attorney in all of the land, right? All of the land. And here's Laramie, Wyoming, just kind of popping off with, you know what? This is what we're doing. $2,500. If they legit got 40 applications, that's a huge win. It's a huge win. I think it's a win no matter what, because the message that this billboard sends is we support local law enforcement. We support law enforcement. City of Denver, you do not. You do not. No, it might not be as bad as Portland. It might not be as bad as what's happened in San Francisco or Seattle. Seattle particularly. Might not be as bad as that, but it's just the overall image, right? It's the image. Do you allow people to just break the law willy-nilly and commit their shenanigans? Well, in Denver, that's a hard yes. Absolutely. I mean, just look at all the storylines that I read coming out of Denver. And then how often literally do we talk about Laramie? How often do we talk about Wyoming in general? Yeah, we don't. Why? Because there's no crazy news stories coming out of there. Why? Well, because breaking the law is still illegal and their cops are funded. So what you're saying is there's cause and effect. It really is, isn't there? This is not that hard to figure out, is it, folks? No, it's not. All right, that's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for supporting. Love to have you subscribe, hit the like button, notification bell, all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again for being here. Bye for now.